Hi folks, you're with Tacita, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about probably the most high profile paparazzi type case legal case going on in the world today. And my surprise that a strident activist has been assigned to prosecute the case by the government. Now, the accused, or the primary accused, is a straight white male, and could be described as quite sympathetic to the left, but anyway. So the prosecutor, though, is an activist. Now, I don't know about the merit of appointing activists to anything, unless it's the activist that sort of runs around with a placard on the street. Then I get it that an activist would be needed. But outside of that, any other form of employment other than street marching and that type of stuff, I think activists, people should really think twice before hiring an activist in any sort of roles. But it's the reverse today. Activists are being appointed, entire human resource departments and entire legal departments, prosecutor departments, and legal aid departments, and the list just goes on. Academic departments, all of them are shot through wall-to-wall activists, which seems quite remarkable that any sane, sensible person would even allow that to happen in the first place. But nonetheless, it is how things are today. So perhaps we shouldn't be surprised by an activist prosecutor, but the extent of the activism is interesting. So we have here the prosecutor, somebody has decided to appoint a lesbian prosecutor. Well, not lesbian, that doesn't really matter, but a lesbian activist. That's to the point. I mean, what this woman or anyone decides to do with their personal life is their business. That they're an activist is the issue here. So we've got a lesbian activist who has a female wife, and the adopted children, the whole 9 yards. Openly hates the heterosexual family unit. Openly hates straight white males. Has been involved in social justice activism for a unit. Openly hates straight white males. Has been involved in social justice activism for years, supporting brown lesbians, no less. She opened up her own legal practice and relied 100% on government money and government revenues to get by. So the government so she's a darling of the activist establishment. NGOs were referring cases to her and paying her handsomely for it. Whether she's a good lawyer or not, I would doubt. But anyway, listening to her talk, she's got a number of videos out there. Listening to her talk, she sounds like she's a first-year law student at college, and an activist to boot. She's got a very childlike way of talking, and that belief that the world, her whole world is ideological, the facts, things like that, kind of not really relevant. The ideology is relevant. And when you get into the ideology of law, if you're brown and you're a lesbian, you're automatic. And when you get into the ideology of law, if you're brown and you're a lesbian, you're automatically oppressed. You are oppressed, and the oppressors are people who have more social power than you. Who has the most social power in their perspective? Well, straight white males, of course. They're straight white males are the oppressor. They're the Nazis. They're Hitler. And the brown lesbian, of course, is the oppressed, and is the equivalent of the slave, being owned by brutal masters and owners and so on. Now, this woman's been in the activist world since day one, and her whole existence, the means to pay her mortgage and her rent and put food on the table, has all been supplied by the activist community, either directly or indirectly. Surviving, or not surviving, doing rather well actually on taxpayer money. So whoever appointed her to this prosecutor's job knew that she was a rabid, strident, in-your-face act. It's not, she's not incapable of being pleasant based on the videos I've seen, but a rabid, man-hating activist. And then she is the one that's appointed to prosecute this case. Now, I've had, over the years, I've had activists, whether they're just consumed with zeal or activists in some way. For example, I'm thinking back some time now. There was we were advertising for like an operations type manager gig, something along those lines, and they would be in charge of all goods dispatch and shipping stuff out to customers, that type of thing. And she was came in at the interview, came reasonably well credentialed, by the way, but came in at the interview saying that all the courier companies and the transport companies were all a bunch of thieves and assholes and so on, and ripping everybody off, and she was going to hold them to account, and she was going to take them out back and shoot them, and they won't get away with anything. I'll be under them, and I'll have their managing director in the office, and I'll give him a dressing down, and then I thought, well, I'm okay, well, that you're going to be concerned about what the company spends on transport costs and fees. Okay, that's good. I mean, wow, that's nice. But that's part of your job. It's in your job description. Now, the idea of you screaming and shouting at people and hiding behind corners, trying to catch people out, having two sugars in their coffee instead of one. I don't think you need to do that. But the energy and the fanaticism that accompanied it. And I thought, well, I don't want it. There's a couple of reasons why fanatics don't really, or a few reasons actually, but why fanatics don't work. The one is they believe with an all-consuming religious zeal that they're right and everyone else is wrong, and they can just do what they want without instruction or against policy or against, they're there to bring some unique form of social justice to the world, and everyone else can go and get lost. And I there's that. So they go off, doing their own thing. The other thing is, because they believe they're so right, but believe that no one else will appreciate their rightness, they're often very devious and underhanded in what they do. The other thing is, I found with fanatics, is they try and get rid of people in their department, assuming they have that level of seniority, get rid of people and then bring in their buddies to act as ballast or support for their own activism. So they surround themselves with low quality activists and or low quality people who are activists and completely loyal to them as their boss. So fanatics are undesirable then, and they've got a huge resistance to listening to reason because they're ideological. They're so hard to reason with. You end up having a situation where, do this or I'll have to fire you. Do you understand that? You can't do this or that. It's not part of the job description. It's not part of the policy, and so on and so forth. So I ended up not hiring her. But I've come across other fanatics in the past, and I don't like the fanatic keenness, zeal. Like, say you're employing, I don't know, a salesman, a business development sales person, and they say, oh, they believe in giving good customer service, and that's fine, that sort of zeal, because it's directly related. That's your job. Do exactly, you're doing exactly what your job requires you to do. But if they say, look, I'm going to make sure these people buy the product, I'm going to stand outside their main office and wave placards till they damn well fucking buy our product. No. That's not how it works. So fanaticism in any form is I think dangerous. But we look here and in many other instances where absolutely strident, off the planet, screaming, kicking legs in the air, tantruming, type people out there. that level of fanaticism and activism are being appointed to all sorts of jobs all over the place, jobs that in the real world they couldn't get. You wouldn't employ somebody like that. But these people are getting these jobs, whether it's prosecutors, diversity directors in colleges, HR managers, and so on and so forth. And this is tearing the system. I think tearing the system to pieces. I'm going to do another video on social justice and what it means and how it's been perverted. But I was surprised to see this level of activism or person with these sort of activist credentials being appointed to such a high-profile case. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.